I wanted to be able to speak, give you a chance to share and speak, because and I do think you live under unfortunately, like, probably the biggest microscope I've ever seen, where people are judging. But I think
I feel very like singled out kind of thing. Like, I don't know where I fit in sometimes. I think that's the hardest place, is because, like, you know, coming from such a controversy background, you fit in there because everybody around you is justifying your sin because they're doing the same thing or something worse, or, you know what I'm saying, or they're just now getting into it. So everybody's friends in that industry. And then when you come out of that, it's like, I feel like I have felt singled out in the sense that people in the normal world don't understand what it was like being inside. I think they're curious about it, and they're like, oh, I would love to know, just kind of like the tea of it. But other than that, I just feel like Christians are super hesitant. And it's like, yes, they might know the Bible. They know that Jesus hung around sinners, but they might not know how to be around sinners and not sin. So I think that would be an awesome thing to also just talk about from you guys' perspectives on, like, teaching Christians how to be around sinners and not get so involved. You know, I think there's a very clear line that Jesus always had when he was dealing with prostitutes or tax people, or, you know what I'm saying, just on the daily. So, yeah, I think there's either ample confusion of who I am and where I stand, or people are judging me because of I came out of such a controversial past.
Yeah. So. But the thing that's interesting is, like, I don't know, we all Christians generally know that Jesus, like, the king of, like, being around controversial people. He was around controversial people. Him choosing the disciples was a controversial decision.
Well, he was controversial in himself. You know, flipping tables in the temple was pretty controversial.
Yeah. Did you know he actually has one of the least known Beatitudes? He said, "Blessed are those who are not offended by me." So you got to be I know we paint Jesus in a certain way. Yeah, I've never seen that on the coffee cup or on a T-shirt. But Jesus, red letter, said, "Blessed are those who are not offended by me." And he chose. It was controversial to not pick the Pharisees, but to pick fishermen, non-ministry people. This is definitely controversial to pick Saul. Like, even the disciples didn't seem to understand. Like, it said for 3 years they'd not even met Saul. He was saved. In 3 years, they're keeping a distance from him. And then it's controversial, definitely, when Cornelius and Peter meet. He opened up the gospel to the Gentiles. And so one of the questions I'm curious about is, do you feel like there's more criticism from the world, or as you become a Christian, more criticism from the church?
More the church than anything. Because how can you expect a sinner to... I was kind of thinking about this with a lot of the drama going on with OF models today, is how, like, they're kind of going viral for the really crazy things they're doing. And I'm like, why are we so surprised that they're doing sinful things as a sinner? Why are we so surprised? So I feel like a lot of the criticism mainly just comes from the church because of, I think a lot of it is just lack of education. Like, they don't understand. And so they would rather stay in their comfortable bubble rather than branch out and be like, hey, just because I'm not like them or they're not like me and we don't have similar past doesn't mean that we can't get along or that we can't be friends. Like, my best friend waited until marriage to have sex versus me, who was in OnlyFans and then got married after. You know what I'm saying? One waited for marriage, one did not. So, and I like applaud her friendship because it's so loving and humble, and she gave me a shot, which so many other Christians or people in the church don't.
What has it meant to you to have that girl? I don't know her, but I see your joy with her, and
she's my best friend in the whole world. She's lifted me so high, and even said to me that I lift her higher, which is awesome. And I think that's what a friendship should be, especially if you are a Christian. It should always be helping you to get out of your bad days, and vice versa. It's always a two-way street and not a one-way street. So
no, I love that. And it's, I mean, to your point, it's cool that you guys found this really amazing friendship and that it's mutually beneficial. You know, myself, my wife she got introduced to the Lord, got saved in adulthood also. And it was super challenging for me being, like, essentially a Bible thumper at the time. And she reminded me of the importance of being around those that don't know Christ. and what that even looks like and how you navigate those spaces. Because it's like, why are all your friends Christians?
Right.
Like, where do you ever go anywhere with evangelical opportunities? And I'm like, maybe not, I guess not. And so that's cool. But I do want to ask, and so obviously there's so many things, and you said people in the church are the main aggravators of this, if you would. And there's so many clips that can resurface and things that go re-viral again. And everybody has an opinion in the comments. And I will say I jump at every opportunity to go back and forth. I got time for that, to go back and forth defending you and Jordan. And I'll be in moments and I'm like, why am I 12 comments deep with this dude that probably lives in like Australia or something,
the Philippines?
Just, you know what I'm saying?
Their profile pic is a frog.
I've had the pleasure of seeing you guys' life in varying capacities up close and in your newfound joy and your newfound faith, that it's like, if y'all only knew and saw what I'm seeing. And he's like, well, you're just saying that because you're biased. And I'm like, I know them.
I know.
It's like an elf and Santa Claus. Like, I know them. And so, but with that, I guess the question is, if you can think back to, man, my first, let's say, month, and you're like a firecracker for, like, you're on fire. The way you talk about your relationship with God and with Jesus is so contagious, and it's just so like, it's like just bubbling up, and I love it. And so you're a month in, you know, let's say that first couple months of following the Lord, and you're expressing this publicly, and you get this pushback from the people that you're wanting to come alongside ultimately and do life with. What is it like? What's that thought process of like, man, is this what I like? This is what I'm stepping into?
Yeah, well, when I started publicly sharing my story and what I was going through, very intimate details of my walk with God on social media, a lot of it was for accountability's sake for myself. Yeah. Like when I cleaned out my entire closet, showed all the bags of clothes that I was just going to throw away, a lot of it was to keep me accountable. And the more people you get involved, the more you're likely to do it and go through with the plan, because I didn't have Christian friends around me at all. So I was like, I need this accountability set in place, and it really helped me. And I've never been one to shy away from vulnerability online, because I think that it's super important when you're building relationships to show people this side of you that's just sometimes unhinged, sometimes is not really pretty, like when your family is super damaged or you have a traumatic past, or you're relatable then. And now I'm not some Christian girl who likes coffee and, you know, I serve Jesus on Sundays. I am this girl who has family trauma. I am this girl with a very promiscuous past. I am this girl who just recently got married and has issues sometimes with marriage, you know. And I think that's so special to be able to relate to certain people who are absolutely going through the same kinds of things. Yeah. And they're like, wow, you know what? She's crying on camera because her dad just got put in prison for 20 years. Yeah. My dad went through jail, or my uncle did, and they're now open to more, you know. And all I simply explain at the end is being Christian is not easy, because I think we have this really warped sense of, once I become a Christian, Jesus just takes care of everything, and he just promises to be with you always through all of it. He never says, oh, once I enter your life and you are mine, life is a breeze. And I think that's such a misconception that we have, and it was a misconception I had greatly when I first became a Christian. I was like, yes, the first week I okay, so 5 years, 5 years on OnlyFans, almost nothing happened to me, right? Like nothing. Life was good. I had all the finances in the world. It was great. And then the first week I got saved, I got into a car accident. My parents decided to divorce. And there was a few other really deep things going on in my life. And I was like, I just got hit by a bus. Like, this is crazy. Like, trials galore. And then it kept happening for 2 years today. Just so much happened. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, God, you need to give me the armor and then armor that armor up. And like, I need to be so shielded. But I think it's such a beautiful process. It's beautiful and so raw. Like some days, like I just sat on my bed and cried. And that's all I could give God in that moment was just my tears, because I have no strength to do anything else. But it's been super difficult coming into the Christian community, and also easy because like I've met people like you and Grant, Way's church. We started going to a new church too. And the community that just kind of surrounded me from all across the country was incredible to feel that support where random people would just text me and be like, hey, God put it on my heart, XYZ. And I'm like, wow, you really did, God. Like I was praying over these things. And so it's been really interesting. But I think that the Christian community really needs to open up more. I think the lack of education, like I said previously, is a big draw. Like that's the line that they don't cross. And there's this huge misconception of like, oh, you're hanging out with sinners or you're going and doing this. Like you're going to fall. I'm like, in some cases, I think you might if you're not strong enough in the Lord. If your foundation was built on the sand, of course it's going to crumble. But like from the beginning steps, I always ask God to be my cornerstone. And that's it. That's all I can rely on is not my strength, but his. Yeah, that's good. That was a ramble.
That's good.
Have you had a season where you felt like maybe I made a mistake or maybe I should go back? Was it like, I know you're usually pretty vulnerable.
To OnlyFans?
No, not go back. Just
no.
No. More
we
like
ain't going back.
more like OnlyFans is bad and okay, I don't want to do that. But man, is the Christian thing. This group is like uphill battle. I'm pushing a boulder. I have to defend myself all the time. It's like I didn't think I'd have so many people online instead of being excited and celebrating. Like at our church, at Way Church, we quote the verse where like when someone makes a decision in heaven, it says that the angels in heaven are like rejoicing. And you might sometimes feel like, I don't know, these comments don't look like they're rejoicing.
No, I feel like there's a nuke going off, honestly. I'm like, wow, y'all are so dramatic. But for me, I have been so discouraged at points, really discouraged, watching people make hundreds of videos about me. And I think like the weirdest thing is that I'm like, you're just clickbaiting. I'm viral. You use it and you hate on me because that's controversial. And I understand how the internet works. So that is a key thought process that I've had to keep in mind because I'm like, all right, you might not actually hate me, but you need to portray that you hate me for views. So it's like, you do you. I'm not judging you at the end of the day, but God will. Like, I would hate to be on your judgment day. Like, if you don't get like your act right, I would hate to be standing there with you. And then God's like, so why did you make all these videos about my daughter? I'd be like, that's me.
Nala pops up in the back like,
I'll be like, ooh.
That's that trend of like, this is my friend and you better be nice to her. It's going to be in the back like, yeah.
That's good.
So yeah, it's super discouraging.
I'm thinking about, culture seems to be changing, and I think we're all seeing signs of like a quiet revival, if you will. Like, it's not in the headlines every day. It's not everywhere you look, but there's these signs of like, man, that wasn't the case 5 years ago, 10 years ago. Of course, Asbury gets a lot of attention, but there's even in Hollywood, it seems like, Denzel Washington's always been a pretty public Christian. Chris Pratt has been a very public Christian, but I feel like in Hollywood and podcasts from Joe Rogan to Russell Brand, like really bold in their faith. But I just saw a clip from a week or two ago. Morgan Wallen and Theo Vaughn are in a Bible study together. And then I think about, I saw today, Hugh Jackman made a post saying like, when I go and perform, like I submit this to Jesus. That people I think are becoming more. Kevin Costner, I saw him doing something about like, well, you need to bring like about Christmas and Jesus and the birth of Christ, and it's almost like it's becoming a little more in vogue or okay to say, no, I am a Christian. And it just made me think about how excited people get when they see these like viral, like, did you see this person's a Christian? But there's a handful of times, like when Kanye became a Christian, he got a lot of pushback and a lot of hate. Shia LaBeouf, I don't know if you all remember, he did the movie Fury, and he had to play a Christian character, and he's even played a monk, and it's been a spiritual experience for him, but he got a lot of pushback. But why do you think people get so excited when other celebrities become Christians, whether it's in Hollywood or big podcasters, but when someone from the porn industry or when someone from OnlyFans does, there's not an equal excitement? It's almost like a cynicism and using that as clickbait to criticize.
Well, I think that if we even track this back to like the woman at the well, like think about the time of day she went was noon, where like it was the hottest part of the day where like really nobody else would be out. So she felt shame for her acts.
Yeah.
So think about like, I think modern society today feels shame about like my kind of characters. You know, there's like a untouchables kind of feeling behind wanting to talk to someone like me, or that's what just kind of I've observed. I think that we feel like, I don't want to speak for all the girls or men and women in the industry, and obviously I'm out now, but I feel like there's this like sense of wanting to hide because we do know that it's wrong. There's not one bit of you, because you do have to take drugs, you do have to drink to do what you want to do, you know what I'm saying, or have to do in that case. But there's this sense of like ultimate shame. Yeah. And I think that other people can feel that too. And they might even feel shame over it. I don't know. I don't know exactly how to explain that, but if you're catching my drift, picking up what I'm putting down.
Yeah, we know. Yeah. That makes sense. It makes sense. And it's interesting that for a lot of church people to take biblical models and examples and make them relatable in modern contexts, because grace is extremely hindsight for us. And to your point earlier, it's like, man, God used some of the wildest stories to make the most massive difference of guys that there's no chance that the church today would let these guys be in any type of influential capacity.
That's so true.
Like David's a guy after his own heart. If David pulled up, if David got somebody else pregnant, plotted against my guy, took him out, and was like, you know what, I just want to sing songs in your church. Is it okay if I come and just be a psalmist? And they're going to be like, you know what, David, we love you. You could come, sit. You could come and sit in the back, unseen, like unheard.
Right.
Because we don't know how to process Paul being, you know, a former, as a modern term, like a former leader of like ISIS or something.
Yep.
Coming and being like, you know, when he's on his way there and the angel appears to the guy, it's like, hey, yo, Saul's coming. He's like, who? We talking about the same guy? And
Do you know who this man is?
Seriously. And so, yeah, for you to, like, thank you for not stopping, you know, despite all what believers are talking about and what believers are saying. And
my faith is not in them. That's another thing. My hope is not in them needing to accept me. And I think that once we cave to peer pressure, we are now bending to faith to other people, which is ultimately what? An idol? You know what I'm saying? I serve nobody but God. Yeah. So as long as I keep that thought process, I'm good. And I will never shy away from being a Christian or professing my faith super openly and very raw.
When you're talking to Jesus and he's like impressing on your heart, softening your heart, he's like tune out all the criticism. What do you feel like the Father is saying to you when it comes to your message, your story, and speaking? Because I know it's not that you just want to like, hey, I want to go to the haters and say no, but it's like there's a mission within you now.
I'd say like the biggest thing that God has pressed on my heart recently is forgiveness. I feel as though, because recently I've seen a lot of stuff about of other OF models going viral, like getting arrested or, you know, sleeping with XYZ men or, you know what I'm saying? And there was this inkling. So now that I was a Christian, there was like this ultimate, like the first thought that popped in my head was like, ew. And I was like, whoa, back it up, girl. Like, this was just 2 years ago when people were saying, ooh, about you. Like, who am I? Bro, who am I? And I was like, I think that God has really recently just pressed forgiveness. And I don't know if it's me forgiving, but I've had to go through so many prayers, so many nights forgiving the people who hate me. Wow. And it's so difficult at times. But when I'm at peace with God, the forgiveness comes so easily. It's like, oh, why was I even mad in the first place? They just don't know you. What else did I expect? Them to love me when they have so much bitterness inside of them, when they're only trying to get views? I'm like, it's not worth it.
Yeah. Maybe you have done this, but I don't feel like I've seen it. Is like, why have you not responded to all of the criticism and the hate?
I think it's stupid. If I'm being so honest, I felt like I was just like fighting fire with fire instead of an extinguisher. I'm like, I think silence is a major extinguisher sometimes. And I think that God will defend me no matter what. He promises to. And if I'm his child, I'm his daughter. Dude, I'm a general in his army. Like, he's not going to let people talk bad about me forever, you know? Or the fact that I do not sit up and speak to them the way they want me to. Because they're just doing it for views. At the end of the day, they don't care. But if they actually wanted to, I've said this to many of them, if you want to sit in a room with me, I'll speak to you. No cameras. Like, just speak to me. I'll show you my heart, like on a platter, you know, like I don't care. You can call me names. I don't care. But if you would like to have a genuine conversation, I'd love that. I'm open to it. But everything's for views, and they've never accepted it, which just like puts the huge light bulb on. I'm like, gotcha. It was never about that anyway.
There's a quote I by Andrew Murray. He's like a theologian from a while back. He's been passed for a while. But this really, I was thinking of just now when you were speaking. Andrew Murray said, "Accept every humiliation, look upon every fellow man who tries or vexes you as a means of grace to humble you. Use every opportunity of humbling yourself before fellow man as a help to abide humble before God. God will accept such humbling of yourself as the proof that your whole heart desires it, as the very best prayer for it, as your preparation for his mighty work of grace, when by the mighty strengthening of his Holy Spirit, he reveals Christ fully in you, Nala, so that he, in his form of a servant, is truly formed in you, and dwells in your heart. It is the path of humility which leads to perfect death, the full and perfect experience that we are dead in Christ." What are your thoughts?
I think that, you know, once you become a Christian, you are now called to serve and no longer be served by this world. You know, this world will give you so much, will offer so much, but then it gets so mind numbing at some point. It's never really fulfilling, you know? So I think that being a servant is like what we're all truly called to be. And it's so fulfilling. Like when you give tithes, like how good do you feel? You're like, wow, like I'm helping. Like, God, you provided and now I get to help. Like, how good does that feel? Or praying for somebody, genuinely praying for someone who's like, hey, text you and they're like, oh man, I need some prayer. You get on the phone with them right there. You pray. Like, you just go to battle for them. That feels so good. Like, there's so many qualities that God gives us when we are a Christian that is just unmatched by this world. So I just think that no matter what or who you are, what your background is, when you fully submit your life to Christ and become a servant, like Paul says it all the time, I'm a slave for God. Like, that's crazy to wrap your mind around, because they're so you have pure freedom in Christ. So why is he calling himself a slave? But he literally thinks of himself as the lowest tier for God. But really, he's doing all of this crazy work, writing all these letters, ministering to people, going to churches, like writing out of prison. Like, that is so powerful. And to be a servant of God is really like the highest calling on your life. That's it.
That's good. And there's this, and you're walking through this right now in a very real way. And unfortunately, there's this kind of thought process amongst believers when people who were extremely influential in a non-Christian space then come to Christ. We've talked about it, you know, yourself and the Kanyes and people. And there's almost like this, and we saw it happen with Kanye, unfortunately, where there's this, like, from a believer's perspective of not seeing the validity in it and saying, well, no, that's just fake. This is all for show. This is all for, as if you benefit materialistically more here than there. Like,
that is pretty crazy. Yeah.
Like, for show, fake for what? But unfortunately, there's this idea of like...
Well, dude, I feel like she's just speaking to that. It's a big deal, is people saying now she's making money through influencing Christians. There cannot be as much money at all.
The only time I'd ever heard the word grifting was when I became a Christian. I'm like, what? I had to literally look it up, and guess what? It's not even a word. So, like, oh my word. I don't know. I felt baffled that all these Christians, and not even unbelievers, but just Christians, were like, you are grifting through this. You just did this for fame. I'm like, I already had like over 1 million followers. Like, what are you talking about? What fame? Like, and before that, like, I was on huge podcasts in the OF industry because people were like, oh, that's the crazy girl that says crazy things on podcasts. Let's bring her on. You know, like, I was the clown. And so I just feel like I just don't get it. I get
it's a downgrade.
It
like,
is
naturally, obviously, spiritually, it's massive.
Worldly, it's a downgrade, but spiritually, very different.
And so, but there's this thing of like people just waiting for the downfall of a influential converted believer. They said the same thing with Russell Brand. It's like we don't know how to take it at first, and there's not like a celebratory thing. You mentioned that scripture earlier that's in Luke, I believe. It's like when one person repents and turns away, all of heaven rejoices, and we don't join in with heaven in that rejoicing.
We get
when
skeptical.
An influential person repents, it's immediately like, but why? What happened? Something bad must have happened over there.
You must have been
like,
in the Illuminati. You know how many people said that to me?
There.
They're like, how bad were you in? I'm like, what? Like, what are you talking about, dude?
It's
like,
insane. I want to ask you a question surrounding this, though. And there was me and a buddy of mine kind of had this conversation similarly. And one thing we kind of came to the conclusion of when we were talking, and it was around Kanye West, because we were talking legitimacy of something. And I remember being like, bro, let's just celebrate. Hey, we as long as he's on this side, like he's exposing the gospel to people that would never ever listen to us. Like, what are we tripping for? But I had this thought of, hey, let's pause. Where would this conversation and commentary fit in Scripture?
Ooh.
Like, where would it be if Scripture is what's informing all that we do, and the Word says that it's the very breath of God and it's profitable for teaching and correction and redirection? Like, whatever comments are Christians and believers having, where would those comments fit in Scripture? Whose mouth is it most likely to come out of in the Bible? And almost every time in that sense, it would be a Pharisee. Like, it's not like, oh, Jesus would most likely say this or one of this. No, it wouldn't.
I just don't know where the humility is. You know what I'm saying? I felt like I've been searching for it, you know, like, okay, Christians, you know, like we have the fruits of the Spirit and all this great stuff. But then it's like, where's the humility? Where is the grace? The same grace that God gave you. Yeah. It's like that parable in the Bible where Jesus was like talking about how this king forgave the servant's debts. He turns around, doesn't forgive somebody else who owed him. And you're just like, bro, that's exactly what we should be doing. And it honestly terrifies me to be in the place where I don't forgive somebody else. Terrifies me. I'd hate to get to the judgment seat and be like, oh, I didn't even remember I didn't forgive somebody. I've just been living with this bitterness in my heart this whole time. You know, like I would hate that. It literally irks me sometimes. So it's just like, I think that we lack grace, the same grace. Obviously, I don't think we could ever obtain the same grace that God has, but we can feel it on a small scale. We know what God did for us, and that should be enough, knowing that, you know, because we know our stories, right? We know what we've done. Yeah, and so where's the grace at?
Yeah. Would you be open to sharing? You said I'm dying. I've died inside.
That was a joke, but I am going through a lot.
There's no way, even with just take out the Christianity part. It's even in your own life. Like, you haven't had it easy. It's been a hard year, especially I know with your father. And but I think of some of the people in your life, like Ryan, and I know Brittany Delamora has been a friend. And
I'm just thinking about the time when I told you that I was going through the stuff with my dad, and he totally ignores me and doesn't text me back.
No, golly, this just doesn't set me up.
No, it was hilarious. But then he texted me back, and he was like, "Oh, we're good." But like in the moment, I was like, "Hey, I just need some prayer." It was like the day of. I'm not putting you down. I love you, bro.
I missed the text.
No, it's actually like the funniest thing to me now. It really is.
It's so funny because what I want to ask you is, how have Christians been there for you?
Perfect segue.
How have they not been there for
one of the biggest texts I ever missed. I was like, when you go and check a text, and you're like, oh crap, this wasn't a random text. This was I'm
very
sorry.
serious.
I did end up
Don't be
reaching
sorry,
out
bro.
praying. So this won't be a story about me, but a story of like, if you have had these difficult times, really. Basically, would you be open to sharing like any time where it's like, man, I kind of was in a really hard spot. I'm a Christian. I knew God was there. I knew he was with me, but I needed some friendship. I needed some people that would be hands and feet and heart and soul of Jesus. Are there any moment you think where I was like, I was so down as a believer but God used this person and their words, their presence. Like who and what do you think of?
Multiple times. Like when I first got married, Jordan and I were living in South Carolina, and like life hit us so hard. Like my past was like constantly being thrown in my face, my husband's face. I was podcasting a lot. People were making tons of videos about me on the internet, constantly tagging me in it. So every morning I wake up my phone, it's like 30 mentions of me in some like hate Nala video. And I'm like, frig. And then I read the comments and I'm like, I have to stop. Like I am literally feeling so down inside. Like I thought I did the right thing, right? And then this world just like bites at me constantly and just takes chunks, you know? And so when that was happening and I was figuring out how I wanted to make money now, I was like, I'm fresh off of OF. What am I supposed to do for a living? God, do you want me to go be a waitress somewhere? God, do you want me to go work in a library? Like what's your plan, you know? And I really had to trust God. Ryan Miller, I get on the phone with him and I just like pour my heart out. I'm like, dude, I don't know what to do. Like I am freaking out. Like I don't know what to do. I don't know where to go. I have no friends. It's just me and Jordan in South Carolina, fresh off married. And I'm like, I'm just trying to learn how to be a wife, you know, how to cook and clean. And that's all I want to worry about. But I can't. Life was just like I said, taking chunks. And I just felt like I was bleeding all over. And Ryan, I get on the phone with Ryan. And Ryan starts talking about how, like, you know, the Israelites were going through the wilderness and, you know, the promised land was full of giants. We always love to think that the promised land was just like milk and honey and ease and grace and it was awesome. But it wasn't. It was full of giants. Like, who has seen a giant before? Like, do you think the Israelites had seen a giant before then? Probably not. But they go into this new land with a new leader and they just start attacking. You know, they listen to God and they start going. And Ryan was just like encouraging me in that. And he said, no matter what season you're in, there's always going to be mountains and there's always going to be giants. But God promises that if you have the faith of a mustard seed, He will move those mountains. And it doesn't say how big the mountain is that He'll move. It doesn't say, you know, XYZ. It just says mountains, plural, not singular. So it's just, it just gave me faith to keep going. You know, the devil was like constantly at my throat, in my thoughts, in my dream. I was having so many nightmares all the time. There was this one night where I was like laying in bed and this has never happened before, where I was like paralyzed with fear. I couldn't move. I was like sweating and I was like, oh my gosh, there's a presence in like the corner. Man. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm like, I feel like my heart is gonna like pop out of my chest. I like reach over to grab my phone, text Jordan. Jordan immediately comes in, prays, and it's gone. Yeah. And I was like, oh, but that heaviness just continued and continued. And I think that so many people think that like, oh, I just made all my money on OnlyFans and now I'm over here just living like a little millionaire's life as a Christian. You know, and I hate that, but I'm also just like, you know what? You don't have to know everything. You just don't. Like, it doesn't matter. Even if you did know that, like, Jordan and I owe a lot of money to the IRS or, you know, we're just now figuring out our own jobs and stuff, it wouldn't matter. You're going to find something else to hate about me. So I just feel like I had Ryan Taylor had then come into my life because I had been praying for friends, and Taylor just became this like anchor for me. Like I just solidified so much. She encouraged me. She loved on me. One of her friends even started talking so bad to her about me. She ditched them as a friend because she wanted to stand up for me. And she was like, you don't understand. This girl's been through so much, XYZ.
I want to echo Grant earlier. Obviously, he was speaking for both of us, but just want to echo like how not just like proud of you and Jordan we are, but expectant and excited as well, because there's revival happening at every turn, right, globally, and we're seeing these stories of these people that are having these radical encounters with God that, you know, and they're like extreme encounters. And so I believe that there's a ton of people that are currently in situations that you were in that may be on the cusp, and even looking at the scrutiny that you're getting from believers and stuff, and the enemy's trying to use that to discourage them from taking whatever final step or laying whatever down or surrendering whatever down. And so can you just put verbiage to lies that they may be hearing now internally that you can encourage them to do that, if that makes sense?
Yeah, I'd say like the biggest thing I've been so concerned over is the fact that I have a huge heart for people in the industry, right? My biggest concern has recently been the fact that people saw me come out and get so like slaughtered on the internet. Yeah. And I feel this like anger because I'm like, how dare you? You sit there on your platform and you beg people to change. You make fun of people who don't, right? And then when somebody does it, guess what? You can't back them even 1%. And I get so upset about that. I'm like, how dare you? Like, do you know how many people potentially would come forward, but because of your loud mouth, they won't? I'm like, that just like, oh, it amplifies me. It really does. Because I'm like, how is this world supposed to change if you don't shut up or start talking about a different subject or start encouraging people or just change your heart? Like, goodness gracious. Like, I know it's coming off like crazy, but this is literally how I feel.
Well, I feel like you have like a mother's heart for those in the industry. Like as a sister, like you see.
Because they're hurt. They're so hurt. Like you've heard a fraction of my story. And that is so much of other people's story where their parents were. I heard all the stories while I was doing drugs with these people because all of it comes out. There's no like, it's all out in the open when people are drinking and on substances. So like you hear these crazy things where sometimes there's abuse in the home from a family member, or there is so much drugs and alcohol, or they were kicked out of their home, or you know what I'm saying? And like it all comes from brokenness. And guess what brokenness does? Most of the time when people don't know Jesus, brokenness turns into more brokenness. But with God, it turns into healing, right? But these people don't know God. So how can you expect them to do more? This is what I'm saying about like, why are we so shocked when sinners sin? Why? Why are we so shocked about it? Like, it's not like headline news. You know what I'm saying? We're lost.
Shocked and opinionated.
I just get so upset about it. I'm like sweating right now. I'm so upset. But yeah.
Passionate.
But I think that goes to his expectancy. Like we see that as like you don't speak out or seem to get angry when it's about you, but when it's about others in a block. And man, it reminds me of that verse actually where Jesus says like, it's almost like a millstone around your neck for anyone who becomes like a blockade or someone who stumbles someone from coming to me.
This is why I get so upset. I'm like, man, you say you're a Christian, but you forget that verse. Like, the one important verse, you know, like I think it's extremely harmful. It's so harmful to all of these people broken. And then like, let's exclude all the people in the industry. What about just normal people who are dealing with suicidal thoughts, mental health, family issues? Like why are they just obscure to us? Like, you know what I'm saying? And like you're sitting over here dreaming about your sports cars and talking about it, degrading women, like talking about how trad women are no longer trad women. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, there's just so much more important things to talk about. There just is. And like, I feel like hardly any people are talking about it, you know? Like,
thanks for sharing. I am thankful. Yeah. Just, we wanted to definitely have you have a place where you could share. I don't know. We had gotten the privilege to build a friendship with you, and it's almost like you have all these friends that are like your friend Taylor going to bat for you. Because when we then also are tagged in pictures with you or we're hanging with you, I'm like, man, if this is what I get, I can't imagine what you do. And I just respect
going to town, man.
The posture you have of being wise as a serpent and innocent as a dove.
I had no problem never doing that. Like sitting on my keyboard, I'm like, oh, I'm no better than them if I do this. Like I have so many other better things to do. Like, top of the list is like playing Call of Duty, but like, but this is not important.
I'd be passionate. I'm like, you don't know them. You don't know what you're talking about.
And we have
especially
so
when you
many
go to
people
somebody's
like
profile, and I'm like, bro, Jordan would destroy you, bro. Like, what are you saying? This man is 5 foot nothing, and you talking about my boy Jay Money? It's all good.
Hey, let's go.
Matter of fact, Jordan's in studio with us. After this first question, I want to ask Jordan a question.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Are you
bring
cool with that?
Is
We
that
gotta
cool?
have Jordan on.
I love it.
My name is Rebecca Brunner, and then my good friends Nala, amazing, incredible queen.
Best singer in the world, songwriter extraordinaire.
Oh, I love you. No, literally, I was just thinking you're talking about even like people that like hate you or like they just do it for clout. I'm like, if anyone knew you, they would have a problem if they didn't like you, because you are the warmest, kindest person I've ever met. Like, I've loved you from the moment I met you. So you're inspiring to me, like even just your faith. Like if I didn't even know your story, just you as a person, you're so inspiring. Like I can't even think about how someone in the church could look down on you. I'm like, oh, I'm inspired by you to be a better Christian, or like to follow my faith stronger and to share like how you speak. Like I had goosebumps the whole time you were talking. You speak and I get goosebumps. It's like you have such an anointing gift, and it's such a pleasure to be your friend. So
oh my gosh.
I'm grateful to be here to hear this even today. And I think a question that came to mind that I was thinking, like, leaving the industry that you left, like obviously it was super hard, but I was thinking like, what has healing looked like for you other than just like leaving the industry? It was like step one for you probably, but what has healing looked like? Because we all have to heal in different ways. Like griefs, you go through your traumas, you go through, like everyone has a story, right? Like every sin's equal, everyone's story is like similar in ways that we don't even realize. So I guess that was a question that came to mind that maybe other people could also relate to.
Well, one thing like I do want to mention about you is like when we were on that THINQ retreat and you were playing the piano in the little church, and like I could tell that music had really a big step in helping you heal, and I thought that was so beautiful. Like you singing your heart out, you know, and I was like, wow. I just like it hit me, and it's like running through my brain right now is like a little movie, had like how music has helped you so much, and I think that's so beautiful. Honestly, recently just crying has really helped. I feel like sometimes all the pain hits me at once and I feel paralyzed. Like I don't know what to do. I can't focus on a task, and then I just want to cry. Like sometimes I'll just go up on my roof. I've recently been just like writing down like love letters to Jesus in my journal, because sometimes I don't want to talk about the problems. I can't just be like, well, today I'm feeling this again, you know. It's more like it, because in the Psalms, David does that. He's like, God, why have you forsaken me? And then it leads into this beautiful prayer of like, God, I love you so much. You are my strength and my sword and my refuge, and I hide in you. And I just feel like if we can get to a place of just literally face on the ground, like, God, like, here I am. I'm so raw. Like, here I am. Like, don't send me anymore right now. Like, just let me be in your presence. And I read this book called Falling in Heaven or Falling from Heaven. It's by this guy named Mark, I believe. And his experience was like he was in a plane crash and half his body was burned severely. He almost died. And his experience of like God let him live, but he had this experience with God. The way he described God had me shivering. I was like in fear of God. I just laid there with my eyes open, and I was like, I felt like I could see and feel almost what he had seen. And I was like, oh my word. It gave me this like shock and awe of God all over again. And I think that God constantly pursues us, right? And in a relationship, you know, we love to show somebody, oh, I can cook and oh, I can do this, but God's like, I can do everything, you know? And it's like this constant shock and awe of this beautiful relationship we're cultivating with our Father. You know, he is everything in one. You know what I'm saying? Like, if we're called to be the bride of Christ, he is kind of like my husband. He's also my Father. He's also the Alpha, the Omega, the Lion of Judah, you know, Yeshua, Yahweh, you know, my deliverer. And I'm in awe sometimes that all I can do is sit there and cry, because that's all I have left in me is just tears. Oh, that's all I have, you know? And I think that's healing. It's just stop trying to control everything. And I am a control freak. Like, I love to know what I'm doing, when I'm doing it, and planning stuff out, you know? But God, I think the biggest thing he's been like is just sit down. Like, please stop being Mary and be Martha, right? Did I get that
Martha
right?
And be Mary.
Be Mary.
That's what I meant. That's what I meant. So that's what I think this season is just sit and listen. Like, let me minister to you now. You know, you don't need to be on all these podcasts. You don't need to be doing all this traveling. Like, just sit down. And I'm like, all right, I'll sit here.
You said, as you were saying, answering the healing question, and you're saying, man, I'm just sitting here laying on my face. I'm with with the Lord or in the Lord's presence, and you said, "Don't send me right now." And oftentimes what people are accusing you of in comments, saying, "Oh, you're just using this Christian stuff to benefit or to whatever grifting is and do all these things," like, "Oh, you're trying to benefit from the church," and it's you're choosing the route to just be near to God and not like benefit from God. And so even when I remember Granny told me that, like, "Yeah, we asked her to speak," and the response in humility was that it's like, "Oh, no, don't send me right now." When a lot of people that are in the Christian space, in the influencer realm and world, it would be very easy for you right now to fill your calendar with speaking engagements across the country and to be financial and to get paid a lot of money to do it. And the humility it takes for you to say, "You know what, God, don't send me right now. Because I'm still healing, because I'm still crying things, and I'm still submitting."
It's also, I think, a big step in growing my faith. You know, I've had this season of ministering and talking, preaching, you know, and then I think this season of just being on my face is God being like, "Now let me provide." Like, you can either sit here or you can do things your way, you know, but like, this is more beneficial for you right now. And I have to lean on him to provide income. I have to lean on him and provide healing, provision. It's just a major step in of faith for me too, to like just let go. So yeah.
So real quick, just for context, in the Q&A chair, we have Nala's husband, Jordan, and their story is amazing. I'm sure you can find, I don't know if you can give us like,
you can find it anywhere.
The 30-second version. Jordan knew Nala while she was still in the industry, just with humility and honor and respect, pursued her and just spoke identity over her. And y'all's story is truly incredible. And so I want to ask you a question. Nala alluded to it earlier. Just, you know, obviously she's going through a lot in this transition from the church, hearing these comments, reading these comments from Christian people. And then, bro, I be going to bat for you too in these comments, because obviously people are addressing and tagging you and saying things in the midst of that. Like, what kind of keeps you going? Obviously the easy God answer, but kind of unpack that process a little bit for us. And then, like, how do you continue to not only cover your wife, but encouraging to like other Christians? So where it's like, man, when somebody's coming out of darkness and into light, like, how do you encourage someone?
Good. That's really that's a really packed question. All right, so basically, like, when we first met, I was in this one TikTok agency with a lot of like huge Christian influencers, even like worship group leaders. And the biggest issue was they didn't like me hanging around there, you know, being around her, you know, posting on social media with her. You know, it just looked bad for like the Christian agency. And for me, I was just like, well, what are we supposed to do as disciples? You know, basically take people to God. You're not going to be able to take them out of their sin. Only God can do that. But you can give them the ability to see God, you know, be able to see God through your actions, how you act around others, like who you truly are. And I was able to do that with her. Obviously, you know, I got a lot of backlash and I ended up leaving that agency. But for me, it was like, what actually matters here? How the world sees me or how God sees me? You know, and it's not even just of an outward appearance. It's about my heart. You know, it's truly like out of the heart, the mouth speaks. So being able to, you know, meet her and speak with her, you know, despite of what others thought of me, I was really able to, you know, see who she truly was. And she's an amazing human being. Obviously, I married her after 6 months, not even. But one big thing is just like, if you say and act, like, especially speaking to my influencers out there, if you say and act one way on social media, you better be able to be that same person in real life, because social media can be a facade in any which way, shape, or form. But if you're too scared to actually be that person in real life, like, are you really a believer? Are you really willing to do the hard things? Because like anyone can go to church, post, you know, something on TikTok or Instagram, but when it comes down to it, are you that person? You know? And one big thing that I was able to realize is, you know, are you going to let God use you? Because if he's not going to use you, he'll use somebody else because you weren't up for the challenge. And at the same time, it's like being able to listen even in a direction that you may not necessarily want to go because there's a lot of pressure on you. You know that God has your back no matter what. Yeah. So just being able to be that person in anyone's life could be, you know, someone who's an unbeliever, could be someone who's a believer who's just trying to figure out and find their relationship with God, or, you know, someone who's had a crazy past, someone who has had an easy past. Doesn't matter what walk or shape or form you are, God wants to use you to reach those people. Yeah. So, yeah. That's good.
I'd love for y'all both to be able to speak into something that I think a major misconception about you is that you were like a fan of hers, and then after a while you also were a Christian, so you like got her to be a Christian, but it's like you met as someone subscribing. And could y'all clear that up? Because I was also thinking about just I saw a video 2 weeks ago. I would say you two come up on my algorithm often.
Me too,
yeah,
all
it's
the
like
time.
like the most the most criticism I've ever seen for a Christian I've ever seen. Yeah, easily you, Nala, and then where I just see continued criticism as I'm like just comes up on going through a feed. But it was about a week or two ago. It was the Fresh and Fit podcast guys, and I don't know their names, but I know that they were just criticizing. There was a video y'all did in Christmas outfit. It was just like a TikTok trend kind of dancing.
Oh, the Grinch.
Yeah. And
dude, everyone's hating on that. And they're like, look at this woman. She's like forcing her husband to do it. And yes, I did force him a little bit. But it was so cute.
But that's the thing is like, if
adorable.
It's a TikTok, like a guy, let's just say it wasn't you guys. It was just a wife influencer having her husband. How many wife influencers have a husband who doesn't even have a social media and then says, hey, honey, I'm going to have you do this. And that's the part of the joke is him doing it. But it's like, I was just thinking, man, if y'all did a TikTok dance and y'all did it together, y'all get criticism. If any other person did it, it's what's expected. It's what I usually see on social media. It's fun and funny, but it's different with y'all now. And they were really going after you, Jordan, is like this guy and all this situation is, I just was like, man, there's such a microscope. There's such a scrutiny for y'all. And I just wanted y'all to be able to speak into that, especially the misconception that you met in that way.
Yeah, so definitely I was not subscribed to her whatsoever. Never had an OnlyFans. In fact, like when we first met, like I thought she was an amazing person, but I wasn't attracted to her. Like I hated red hair, and I know that was like her big thing. So one point blank that like I never was a like subscriber, nor even like when we first met, like I never was like, oh my gosh, she's so hot, like I want to be with this person. There was no feeling whatsoever with that. But like obviously as like the Lord, you know, showed me her true colors, and I was able to see her like day in and day out, and be able to see, you know, the sacrifices that she was able to make. Like she was making almost $400K a month. And I think if you were to fathom that, that's like what doctors make a year, maybe. And like she just gave that up willingly, and I was like, you know what, this is the type of person that I want, despite of her past, because I have a past too. None of us are perfect. I know you're not perfect, but one big thing is just like, if this person is willing to give up everything she has to follow Jesus,
that's good, bro.
That's the person that I want to marry, because I know she's going to be a great mother, and I know she's going to be a great partner, because at the same time, I want to be equally yoked. And if someone is willing to give up, you know, all the money in the world, I guess you could say, that's what I want. You know, that's what I need in a wife. Someone who leaves the world behind to chase Jesus. Because like at the same time, I left my agency where I was making really good money, but I left them because it was a persona. It was a facade. But at the end of the day, I wanted to, you know, be real. And I feel like that's super hard to do, especially for so many people out there, maybe even you, where it's just like, it's hard to be real in a world full of fake.
What would you say to that?
Wow, mic drop. I just, number one, I want a baby now. And I mean, hearing him say like she's gonna be a great mother, I'm like, oh. So
You wild.
I just, you know, I can speak to it on the opposite side, obviously, was because like a week into knowing Jordan, I was like, I'm just going to tell him I'm on OnlyFans. Like, I got nothing to lose. If he doesn't want to be my friend anymore, that's fine. Like, I don't really care. It's been a week, you know? And so I told him, and Jordan was like, what's OnlyFans? And I was like, oh God, like I have to explain this now. I was like, frick. And so I had to literally explain what OnlyFans was, because you also have to understand it like this. OnlyFans, like there's some crazy headlines of OnlyFans girls now. That kind of just started. Yeah, like it has not, this was 2 years ago when I got off. Like all this like Sophie Rain, Lily Phillips, Bonnie Blue just started making headlines. You know, OF girls didn't really have the stage. You know what I'm saying? So Jordan was on this completely opposite side of the internet that I was. Like he's a Christian. Most of his stuff was cars. What else? Christian stuff,
hunting,
guns,
America, baby.
So like his was like an all-American feed, and he did not see that side of the internet. So when I had to go into detail of what OnlyFans was, I was like, oh my gosh, this guy's like so oblivious to like the outside world. You know, that's literally what I thought. And then I explained to him, and Jordan was like, oh, okay. And like he just wanted to continue being friends, and I was like, "Wow, like okay, papa." But yeah, like I mean, we definitely had it rough for sure. But it was so sweet that like how God brought us together, and both of us making like an ultimate sacrifice. I gave up OnlyFans and the money. Jordan gave up this pretentious Christian agency who only wanted money, and he gave up making an income there. We made that decision like a couple months apart. Couple months apart, and then we both just like ran after Christ and each other because we had just gotten married. So our life drastically changed, and then the enemy was just, I feel like he was so enraged. Like Jordan's over here, Mr. Evangelidator, is just kind of like no longer making money with this Christian agency, and then I'm no longer with OnlyFans, you know, and we're just like pursuing God, and it's definitely had its rough patches for sure. Marriage is just due, but like through that, like I swear, like this is just like my best friend in the whole world. Like he is my rock. Like,
my favorite clip of y'all is when you're sitting in, I don't know if you're in the kitchen or something, but you're like, Jordan, I want to marry that man.
With the red hair.
Yeah.
Dude,
like,
I was prophesying, bro. I was prophesying, dude. And that was like, this was right. I had just gotten saved. And then we were about to go to Passion Conference. He invited me to go to Passion Conference in Atlanta. And so, and then, dude, it came true. Amen. I knew I was going to marry him. Like, I knew it. I had never felt that way about anybody in my life.
I love
ever.
It. Jordan, last thing. Can you tell Nala, and you may do this all the time already, but it'll be a sweet moment. Can you just tell Nala what's your favorite part of her faith journey that you've got to witness her?
This feels like counseling.
Walking in. Well, it's like in a good thing. It's like celebratory. Before. Like, what do you like? What's your favorite part? Like, or even what are you most excited about for what God's gonna do next?
One, I'd say like the most exciting part of what God's gonna do next is like give us a first kid. I don't know when that's gonna happen, but I know it's gonna happen.
I'm feeling.
But I'd say like one of my favorite things about like her faith and just like her faith journey is that despite how much backlash she gets from the Christian community, I mean, besides the world, but from the Christian community specifically, is that, you know, the Bible had Pharisees as well. So her being able to stand true just like Jesus did, that's like the biggest thing for me, because for her to, you know, be in such a spotlight, even me as well, but like mainly her to be in a spotlight where people are constantly condemning her, she still stands strong for Jesus. Because like if you were to think about it, you know, if everyone's saying, oh, go to this group, or you know, like be this person, but right when you do that, they hate you for it, and they hate her for it, they hate me for it, she, continues to be the realest person out there. Because despite again, a world full of fake, she stays true and real despite the backlash she gets.
Seriously, thank you for jumping on with us. And I know not everyone lives under the level of scrutiny that you do. And I
wish
do
they
think
would just for a day, and then they'd stop commenting.
I do think that day is going to come to pass. And I do think that strengthen, like, I think there will be not even moments, seasons where we all see, like, man, you have this, like, this resilience and the spirit of authority that's in you. And I know you're patiently like, God, I want to go at your pace for that. Yeah. I'd love, though we don't live under the same scrutiny, everyone to some degree, though, who's become a new believer, or even just wants to grow, even if they've lived in a pattern of some way, and they're like, mom, dad, brother, sister, best friends, I'm changing. Everyone lives with a little bit of scrutiny, usually from the people they know closest, who is like, well, we've known who you are, or we've seen who you are. You just lived a public life, so a lot more people knew who you were. And so what...
if you don't want that much scrutiny, don't be that public.
Yeah. What would be... what we try to do is have the guest give just a final encouragement. You would just look at this camera right here. It could be 30 seconds. It could be 2 minutes. But what encouragement would you give to those who... want to grow and want to turn things around and sometimes get the critique around it? What kind of hope would you give them? And you could just look at them.
Well, yeah, I'd say that there's seasons to everything. I think that you will face a lot of your toughest seasons alone sometimes. And I think that's just like God helping you hit a breaking point, and not a breaking where you're just shattering, but a breaking that's going to help you build stronger, because God realizes there's like micro fractures in certain areas of your life, and they need to grow stronger so that they no longer fracture. So I know that it's super painful sometimes to go through seasons of your life where you just feel like, where are you, God? Like, I've been talking and talking and talking, but I think it's just time for you to listen. I think it's time for you to be able to fall on your face, cry, just be silent in his presence, because his presence brings more fulfillment than anything, anyone in this entire world, more than a best friend could, more than a spouse could, more than your parents could. But his presence is so humbling and graceful and faithful. Like, God is so faithful to us. Like, who, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, why does he have to be faithful to us? But he is. So if I could just encourage you to keep fighting the good fight and know when to step down and let God fight, is probably the wisest thing you could ever do. Is just, not every battle is yours to take on. And there are battles that you should fight, but with God's help. But I think that ultimately, remaining in a servant's heart is going to lead you into beautiful places. I think you'll learn humility in such a good way. And I think it'll just get you to places that you've never been before. And constantly serving Christ through all the criticism, through all of the fake this world has to offer. Like, one day it'll all be real. One day you'll get to see Christ. You'll get to be in his presence fully, and there just won't be a care in the world anymore, but you will be happy that you fought the good fight.